Hello everyone, my name is Carlos and I will be your professor for this genetics course throughout the next fall. My intention with this video is sort of present myself and let you know a little bit more about me as a person and what I do, and also let you know how this course is organized, how this course is structured, and how we are going to be working throughout these next 7 weeks, which is the total length of this course. So my name is Carlos. Like I said, you can call me Carlos or you can refer to me as Dr. Da Silva. I do have a PhD in neuroscience, and I got my PhD from William and Mary College of William and Mary, which is a small college in Williamsburg, Virginia. Okay, small college, but fun fact about the college is that I think 3 or 4 presidents of the United States also attended that college, including George Washington and some other famous names. If you look at the history of the college, you will see that. All right, so after getting my degree, I moved to North Carolina, and then I started teaching at Carolina University, but also at UNCG, which is the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. Okay, at UNCG, I teach general biology, and more specifically, I teach anatomy and physiology. And here at Carolina University, I also taught before general physiology. I taught this course before genetics and some other courses as the college needs. Okay, all right, so this course is divided into 2 sections. One section is a hybrid section, so that means you're going to be coming once a week to meet with me and have in-person classes in the college, and the other one is completely online. That means we're not going to see each other in person. This course is going to be taken completely online, but this video covers the aspects of both sections, okay, because both sections are gonna they are structured completely very much the same. So what I'm gonna explain for one section here also applies to both sections in general. All right, so this is the landing page of our course. So when you open our learning system, this is what you will see. So the course is structured in 7 weeks, and those 7 weeks are already organized here for both sections, again, either for both for in-person, for the online sections. In each week, when you open the landing page, what you're going to see is that I always like to tell my students the topics that we're going to study for that week and what I expect them to learn from those topics. So the topics are the things that you are going to see in the slides, in the video lectures, or even in the extra resources that I'm going to make available to you. And the learning outcomes are the things that I expect you to have learned after you finish taking the class that week. So for instance, after week number 1, I expect you to have learned about mitosis, meiosis. After week number 1, I expect you to have learned about the DNA model. All right, and then you can see that for all the weeks of this course. Also in this landing page, you are going to see that I have the discussion prompts over here, but I'm going to go back to these discussion prompts when I explain the assignments. All right, I guess I should change my view to student view so I can see what you guys see, which is not really that different as you could see. So again, so the topics, the learning outcomes, and the discussion prompt. Okay, so to access the syllabus, I want you guys to go to syllabus, click there, and then there you're gonna find your syllabus in PDF. So I'm gonna open this PDF and kind of walk through the PDF with you. So here, what you can see, is the name of the course, and the 2 sections are exemplified there. Here's also how you can request a meeting with me, because I am not in person in college every single day, but I make myself available through online meetings to my students. And to request those meetings, you've got to access this link. Okay. If you can't do that, you can also message me through my email or even contact me through my phone number. So here's just some generals about this course, the learning outcomes, and the textbook that I want you guys to buy. All right, so the book is named Essential of Genetics, and once you buy the book, you are going to have access to thousands of questions to study for this course. And I'm going to be very honest with you. If you look at those questions, you are probably looking at what your exam will look like, because I'm not really that clever in making questions. So why reinventing the wheel if we already have the wheel ready for us? So I generally try to use those questions from the book. So highly recommended that you get this book and you also read the chapters. Okay. So what are the assignments for this course? This course will have 2 exams. One would be the midterm exam and one would be the final exam. The midterm exam will happen on the 3rd week of this course, and it's already put in the syllabus. And the final exam is going to happen on the week number 7 of this course. Midterm exam will cover contents from week 1, 2, and 3, and final exam will cover the content from all of the weeks, from week number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So final exam is a comprehensive exam that covers everything, and the first exam, the midterm exam, is shorter or less complicated exam because it's only 3 weeks. Okay, the exams will last for about 2 hours, so you only have 2 hours to answer those questions. Okay, and those questions might be multiple choice. There's gonna be short answer questions. In some of those short answer questions, I'm gonna ask you to upload pictures of your calculations of you solving those exercises. For instance, we're going to learn about the Punnett square when we're doing the crossings, the genetic crossings. And in some of those questions, I'm going to ask you to, write down that Punnett square, take a picture, and upload to that question. So make sure you know how to use those tools in our LMS. Also, after every week, or by the end of every week, you have a post-lecture quiz that you have to take. Okay, so the post-lecture quiz opens when the week opens and then closes by Friday at 11:30. So you have all the way to Friday at 11:30 to get your quizzes submitted. Those quizzes are more simple. They have about 4 or 5 questions in general, and the idea here is to make sure that you read the chapters, you watched the lecture, and then you are familiar with that content. Okay, most of these questions will also help you prepare for the midterm exam, for the final exam as well. All right, so super simple. Closes by Friday at 11:30. 2 other assignments that you will have to do is the participation assignments, which is divided into the Cornell note-taking and discussion boards. So the Cornell note-taking assignment is a very simple assignment where I ask my students to take notes of those topics that we discuss in the video lectures. All right. This assignment is more so I can see that you are, studying all the concepts for that week's learning outcome. So if you look at your learning outcome, for instance, in week number 1, one of the learning outcomes is to describe the Watson-Crick model of DNA structure. So in your Cornell note assignment, I expect you to have that sort of information in your notes, included in your notes. So make sure that before completing your Cornell note-taking exam, you look at the learning objectives or the learning outcomes for that week, because I'm going to be using that as a guide to grade your assignment. So for instance, if in your assignment for that week number 1, I don't see that you know how to explain meiosis, then that's not a good note for that week, if that makes sense, right? So that means you didn't actually cover that topic when you were studying. Another so these assignments, they close by Tuesday of that week. So you essentially, I always post my classes by Friday, my video lectures by Friday of that of the posterior week of the week before, and then you have the whole weekend, Monday and Tuesday, to watch those classes, to read those chapters, and to write down your notes and submit your assignments. So the Cornell note taking assignment closes on Tuesday at 11:30. All right. Then the other participation assignment that you have is the discussion boards. Here's where those discussion prompts, they come in. So the discussion boards is a way that I find very effective to have my students talking to each other and talking about concepts beyond those classes that we discuss in class. The way it works, you've got to post a original comment according that responds to that discussion prompt by Wednesday 11:30, and then by Friday 11:30 you have to respond to at least one friend. Okay, your original post has to be 150 words maximum, and then your comment to your friend has to be about not maximum, sorry, minimum. And then your comment to a friend's post has to be of 50 words minimum. Comments and replies that do not have 150 and 50 minimum words, they will not be counted towards your grade, so make sure you pay attention to that. Here is very important that you do not use ChatGPT, Copilot, or any other AI tools to generate your answers, because I do copy and paste every single one of those answers to check for if that content was generated by AI. And if it was generated by AI, you can assume that you're not going to get the grade. Okay, so I try to split half of the grade with your initial post, and half of the grade with what you respond to your friend. Okay, so about 3 points go towards your original post and 2 points go to your response. Okay, here the discussion boards, they are guided by these discussion prompts. So for instance, in week number 1, you've got to answer this question. So don't try to answer as if you were answering an exam. For instance, try to answer as if you were having a conversation with me, or even a conversation with your friend. So here the general idea is that you actually engage in this scientific dialogue, in this scientific communication about that topic. Okay, so for instance, in this week 1, you've got to explain to me why those homologous chromosomes, they need to be separated during the meiosis but not during mitosis, and why is that important. Okay, so that's one of the things that we discuss in the video lecture and also in the in-person lecture. But make sure that you do your own research to find more about that topic. And you can see that I'm going to skip to week 2 now, that for week number 2 there is another discussion prompt. Okay, so always read that discussion prompt and do your research about it, and then create your comment, and then respond to your friends. Create your comment by Wednesday 11:30 and respond to your friend by Friday 11:30. Okay, another type of assignment that I have here is the clinical case studies, and I am changing this semester the way these clinical case studies are turned in. So throughout the semester, you're gonna be asked to make a presentation about 3 clinical case studies. Okay, those clinical case studies are already available in these templates, so I'm gonna just click in one template. Oops, I guess I can't open because I'm not using my Carolina account. But anyways, you can also find these templates when you go to, for instance, the week that assignment is due. So for instance, we have the clinical case number 1 here, and then here when it opens you will be able to see that the Word document for that clinical case that explains that clinical case. But in general here, I want you to create a presentation about that case. That case will bring a real life situation involved with genetics. Okay, in that case, you're gonna find 4 to 5 questions about a fake patient. So that patient doesn't actually exist. I created myself that patient, and that patient has a genetic disorder, or that patient has something related to those concepts that we studied in the weeks before of that assignment is due. So I believe, for instance, in the clinical case number 3, we're talking about population genetics, for instance. So the case has to do with that. In week number in the clinical case study number 1, that clinical case has to do with basic genetics, for instance. So each clinical case correlates with the contents that you studied in the weeks before. Okay, and you have sort of 5 questions to guide you through creating that presentation. Okay, so the presentation here will be 1 slide presentation that I want you to create, addressing those points in the templates, and then the other portion of this presentation is actually giving a presentation about your slides. Okay, so generally, like I am doing here, I have my PDF here and I am talking through that PDF. So I'm giving a presentation about that, about this content essentially. So I want you to do something like that. And here you are free to use whatever resources that you want. You can use whatever app that you are familiar, that you feel comfortable using to record your screen, to record yourself, whatever app you want to use to develop your slide presentation. You will see that I use a lot of PowerPoint in my presentations, but you are welcome to use Google Slides, because I know that you guys have access to Google Slides as well. So feel free to use whatever resource that you can to develop your presentation. And you're asking me, why do I need to do that? I want to see your ability to communicate science to someone. I want to see your ability to, put a presentation together. I also want to see your ability to do research about those topics. Okay, so in classes, I generally don't discuss about the clinical case studies that I present to you, because I want to see your ability to find information about that case. Okay, so here I'm trying to evaluate many skills that I can, and I think they are important as a undergraduate student and people that are going perhaps to a grad school, or gonna find a job somewhere else. But I do think that we need this type of activity here, and I think this is worth 50 points. And I try to break down the points between you making a presentation like I am doing right now, and you creating your slides. So that slides, they have to be organized. The information there can't be false information, or it can't be wrong information. So your presentation has to be cohesive, and it has to be coherent as well. Okay, so we're gonna keep talking about these clinical case studies and how to do this presentation as the semester goes, but the deadlines for these activities are already posted in our course schedule. So here in our course schedule, you can see that for each week that I have the topics that I will be covering that week, what chapters from the book you will need to be reading that week, and what activities are due that week. So for instance, in week number 1, you only have the post-lecture quiz that is due on Friday, and then you have as well the discussion board that is due on Wednesday, the initial post, and then on Friday replying to your friend's post. Okay, but then for instance, here you see when our midterm exam is scheduled. So usually the midterm and the final exam, they open on a Friday and they close by the Sunday of that week. So you can see the due dates here as well, and the due dates for each clinical case as well. Okay, the syllabus also shows you, how much those assignments they are worth. So, just make sure you put a lot of effort in, taking the exams, taking the clinical cases as well, because they are worth more than half of your grade. And I, am very picky about how these things are presented. All right. So my general instruction for you before I let you guys go in this video is that you just make sure that you know the deadlines of when everything is happening. Okay, it is your responsibility to create a calendar, create a note. I don't care if that's a post-it note, if you have to put something in front of your face to look at every single day, but you've gotta manage those assignments because there's gonna be a lot, and I will not reopen them if you miss them. Okay, so like I told you, I am teaching at multiple universities. So if from every single university I have a student asking me to reopen assignment that they missed, I would go crazy because there's tons of students that I'm teaching currently. So you've got to manage yourself. There is no reopening of exams. There is no reopening of quizzes. There is no reopening of discussions, unless, of course, it's a reasonable situation that you were in a hospital or you did not have access to internet that day. But again, don't wait until the very last minute to complete your assignments because, of course, right, things tend to happen on the deadlines. So make sure you anticipate for those circumstances. It's only 7 weeks, and you will see that these curves will fly. All right. So make sure that you know the deadlines of every single course. Also, I want to make sure that you understand some of the policies that I am very rigid about. This course, one of them I comment already, which is not using ChatGPT or any other type of AI to create your assignments. You can use those tools to review your responses, to review for grammar errors, to review for coherence mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want you using those tools to generate your own original idea, okay? Because that's plagiarism. You're not creating anything. You're just copying what a machine is saying. Don't miss assignments, okay? Because like I said, I am not going to reopen those assignments, and I am very strict about being annoyed by students. So if you try to annoy me that you want that assignment or the other assignment opened, you probably won't be very successful in doing so because, like I said, I have many students trying to do the same, and I can go crazy if they all try to do that. So please try to manage your life. And then one of the last things is that for taking the exams, the midterm and the final exam, you need to use the Proctor free app. And to use the app, the website is going to guide you on how to download that. But if you don't use that app, I'm gonna subtract 10 points of your grade because I use those recordings to make sure that you're not cheating, to make sure that you're not using GPT, to make sure that you are maintaining integrity when you are taking that exam. And I am saying that because I've seen people cheating on the exams. I've seen people, speaking to colleagues while they are taking their exams. I've seen people using their cell phones while they are taking their exams, and they were granted zeros in those exams, and their GPAs went all the way down. So make sure that you do not cheat on those exams because I will make sure that you are penalized by it. Okay, so Oh, professor, but my computer, doesn't accept Proctor free, or my computer is too old. Well, the university has computers that you can use. I think the library or the library has computers that you can use, and I am sure that Proctor free works on those computers. But in any case, if you can't do that, I am very sorry, but I am taking 10 points off of your exam. Okay, because I can't guarantee you're not using any of those cheating tools. All right, so make sure that you take this course very wisely and with responsibility. I'm sure it's going to be very fun, but I just have to guarantee that the integrity is kept in this course. Okay, if you have any questions, please contact me. But this course is already set up in your LMS, so you should be able to access everything except for the video lectures that I record every single week and I post on Fridays before that week start. All right, okay, I hope you guys have fun in this semester, and I am looking forward to working with you. Bye bye.